I'm wondering if you could talk some about passion and intensity and its role in creation. Is that, sometimes I want something and I'm kind of cavalier about it, not very passionate, not very intense, and yet I get it anyway. Then other times I feel like I'm very passionate about something that I want and it doesn't show up. Is it a case of having passion and intensity, or is it a case of just relaxing and allowing things to happen?
There are two factors, two feeling factors, two vibrational factors that you can feel that equal how things are unfolding in terms of how quickly they come or how incredible they are when they unfold. The first factor is the degree to which you desire it. And the other factor is the degree to which you allow it. So we want to take it away from the subject of passion for just a minute and talk about when life has caused you to put things in your vibrational reality and you don't do that thing that so many people so often do, beat the drum of the opposite of it. When you don't do that thing you do that doesn't let it come, then it comes. That's what allowing is. Allowing is not offering a vibration that disallows it, but instead offering a vibration that allows it. The allowing vibration can feel a lot of different ways that you would describe with a lot of different words. Passion is one way of describing focusing upon something wanted in an absence of non-resistance, in an absence of resistance, or in an attitude of non-resistance, or in an attitude of allowing. In other words, when you're focused upon something that you really want, and you're not offering any doubtful thought about it, that's what the feeling of passion is. But that state of allowing could also feel like appreciation or love. In other words, the feeling of love, we think you would describe differently than a feeling of passion or enthusiasm, but they are both absence of resistance. And so what makes the difference in the word that you would choose is the subject to which you are focused and the degree to which you want it. Is there, if you sort of want something, let's lay out some other scenarios. If you sort of want something and you have no resistance about it, then it just comes. If you really want something and you have a lot of resistance about it, it doesn't come and you feel anxious. If you really want something and you have no resistance about it, it comes and you might feel enthusiasm about it. In other words, what you're really wanting to do is pay attention to the way you're feeling given different scenarios. It's the reason that we were telling the story earlier that didn't really connect with you, but before the day is over, it will. The story of Esther finding her watch. We're wanting you to understand that the more you understand the way the game is played and the more of the laws of the universe that you understand from the very core of that which you are, then you are able to pay attention to the subtle nuances of the way you feel, and that's the way you begin to mold the clay. We would like you to realize that any time that you have desire and no resistance, that the true way that feels. I'm going to give this to you gently because it's going to be new for you, and we want to make sure that you hear it the way we mean it. When you want, no matter what it is, and you believe that you can have it no matter what it is, there's a harmony in your vibration that would just feel like sublime contentment and feeling of next logical step. That's actually the perfect state of creating. When you really want something and you're close enough to allow it to happen, but not really in perfect alignment with it, we think that's when you would begin to feel something that you would describe as passion or enthusiasm. In other words, there's just that edge of, you're on the brink of it, you're even allowing it, but there's enough not quite lined up with it that you don't quite let yourself relax into it. There are a lot of people that really believe that the state of just knocking myself over with a feeling of passion is the way that you want to be. And we want you to understand that the best state of being is to want something that you believe with every part of you is in the process of being, so you're just one with it. And perhaps the best word for that would be contentment or alignment or ease. So Over here with love and appreciation, let's put ease over there. And over here with fear and depression, let's put dis-ease.
So there is not a minimal level of intensity or passion, or you know how you talk about 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds, and how that adds up?
Well, the longer you focus upon anything, the more momentum it gathers. But here's the reason that we're having this discussion, and it plays out in the way that you feel it. Imagine being an airplane high in the sky, going 500 or 600 miles an hour, and being up to speed with it. In other words, so you look out the window and everything looks easy. Put the same airplane on the ground at that speed, and you might feel the resistance of the ground, and it would feel very, very fast to you. So the thing that you're helping us to say in a new, more complete way is that when you have desires that are moving very fast and you're up to speed with them so that you're moving at the same speed that the desire is, so to speak, the feeling that you have is one of well-being and one of ease, one of satisfaction, one of contentment. But if your desire is going faster than you are, if you're not quite up to speed, that's when you begin describing it in things like exhilaration, or it's sort of like, have you ever ridden the roller coaster and the first time up and down the hill, it just knocks you over. You can hardly believe you got on the thing. You're wondering if you'd lost your mind. But if you stay on it, again, like Esther always likes to do, then the next time it's not quite so hard to take. And the next time becomes, and before you know it, you're just thinking, I wonder if there are any other fun rides in the park, because you're sort of up to speed with it. And so this is the reason life is constantly propelling you out there to a new place so that you can experience the exhilaration of the ride. And isn't it true that when you get up to speed with the fast-moving ride, this is really good. When you get up to speed with the fast-moving, this is really good. When you get up to speed with the fast-moving ride, then something that was passion and enthusiasm begins to feel more like contentment, and then don't you start looking for something else to throw out there? So what we're getting at, you get to choose. We see some of you with so much distance between what you're asking for and what you're allowing that you're not having much fun at all. You get to manage, we think you like the drama of it, you get to manage this gap. So we watch Jerry and Esther. They get to a place where they get up to speed and they begin to feel this level of satisfaction and contentment, but they're not satisfied to stay there in that attitude of contentment for very long. It feels good at first, but before you know it, they're mixing it up and throwing more out there, and then maybe feeling a little discord as they come into alignment with it again, and then there's that satisfying place. It's like the sweet spot where your passion is swelling within you because you're asking for something just beyond your ability to completely allow it. There's something really good about being right there. And then you come into alignment with it and you feel the contentment and the satisfaction of it, and then off you go again. That's the way we would play it if we were standing in your physical shoes. We'd step one occasionally, we'd throw stuff over there into vibrational reality, and then we'd put all of our attention to lining up with it, and we would get that long range, that wide range of delicious sensations moving through us, from hope to belief to exhilaration, to passion, to satisfaction, to contentment. And then we'd go back to step one again as quickly as we could. And when you manage it on purpose, someone might say, oh, your life seems perfect. And you say, oh, does it? I think I should go stir it up a little. Because a perfect life is one that is moving. A perfect life is one that feels dynamic. A perfect day is one in which you feel love and appreciation and joy and contentment and eagerness and optimism and passion and enthusiasm and contentment and satisfaction and love. In other words, depending upon what topic you're focused upon, you just want to move around in all of those delicious feelings. That's when you know you're most alive. And when you get really good at this and you know the rules of the game and the laws of the universe, you don't even ever feel bad when you're in negative emotion, because you just say, hey, I'm in step one. I'm step one in here, and I know what that's contributing to my vibrational reality. And of course, I'm nowhere near it because I'm wallowing in it for a little while. But isn't it nice to know what the options are, what the possibilities are, and how the whole process works?
I said to someone that it was so helpful to me to hear you say, make make peace with step one. And then after this morning, when you were talking about the stock market and the economy and politics, and I really got it that we need to be rejoicing about step one.
Oh, really? Because here's the very powerful distinction that is new to the discussion. So you get the sense of this vibrational reality. You have heard us here today about how you have created it, it's there and it's calling you to it. So there's this vibrational reality, and then there's your manifested reality where you are now. So, and all of this contrast led to both of them. But there's something about standing in your now reality that makes that maybe not look so sweet relative to some regard. In other words, it contributed to what's become, but you haven't seen it yet. And so if you're standing here and checking out the contrast, you might not feel as appreciative of it as if you can stand over here. In other words, the things that have manifested, don't you say all the time, well, it was worth it. Well, I can see how that contributed to this, and it was worth it. I'm glad I'm here, and looking back now, I can see the value in all of this. But if you're standing before it's manifested, you're not appreciating that stuff much. You're still in the blame mode a lot of the time. And that's why we want you, even before it's manifested, to mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and vibrationally get yourself over there where what's in the process of becoming for you in terms of manifestation has already become, and then you feel appreciation. It's easy for us to feel appreciation of everything that you've lived because we know that what you've lived has caused the culmination of who you are. So you just got to get over there in that place of anticipation, and in that way you will be making peace with all of step one. And not only that, feel the difference. You know this, you brought it up, but we're going to amplify it here. Let's say you're standing in a place absent of something that you really want or need. And as you stand there and pick through it and talk about it, you feel the discord of not being where you want to be. And in that discord, what's your proximity to your vortex? When in your disappointment, in your discouragement over here, what is your vibrational proximity to where it all is and where it has already become? You're not near it. But if you stand here still in the absence of it in terms of manifestation, but you're thinking about what you want and why you want it, you are not beating the drum of the absence of it. You're beating the drum of, won't it be nice, and isn't it nice, and won't it be fun, and you're anticipating it. Now you are a vibrational match to what you're asking for. There's no absence of it in your vibration. Now your proximity to it, you're right there with it, and now it has to come to you quickly, you see. So we want you to care about how you feel so much that you care about your gap so much that you care about your vicinity to this swirling vortex of creation. We want you to be so aware of all of that so much that you're just not willing to beat the drum of anything that doesn't feel good. And that is the best definition that we could give of making peace with where you are. Making peace with where you are sounds to some like looking at the absence of what I want and liking it. That's far from what we mean. What we mean with making peace with where you are is, don't give so much attention to where you are. Look at where you want to be as a result of what you've lived, and in giving your attention to where you're going instead of where you are, you make peace with it. You take the resistance out of it, and then you move easily to it. Even in the beginning days when we began talking about allowing, a lot of people thought that what that meant was look right at something unwanted and say you like it. Look right at something that's really bad and like it. And that's not what the art of allowing is. The art of allowing is
Are we allowing?
Well, were we allowing or tolerating? The art of allowing is looking at something unwanted and finding the value of it, which causes you to identify what you've created as a result of it, turning your undivided attention to that, and therefore allowing your alignment with who you have become.